Welcome to the reality check. July 31st, 2018. So, topics on the menu today. Countries we'd like to go to but can't. Or, not that we can't, but we'll get into it. I really mean. Lawyers. UFC 227 preview, of course. And questions, of course. Questions of everything. And the war on kids, which is a big topic these days. So first off, countries that we'd like to go to. I mean, places I'm talking about like Mexico, Israel, Japan. I'd love to see the architecture, the history, the history of Mexico. Just would love to see Israel, same thing. More of the history with Israel. And Egypt, I mean, I'd love to see just the architecture, the layout of the land, just, I mean, wow, some of the biggest history of the world, Egypt. And they're just places we don't go. Well, some people do, like some people go to Mexico a lot. I personally don't because it's dangerous. I mean, is it really vacation when you're somewhere and you make a wrong turn and you end up dead? Is it worth it? And to me, no, it's not. It's not a good vacation. You know, I'd be the fool to be in Mexico and go down the wrong street, and whoops, one block off, and now here I am in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? And somebody will assume I'm rich, which I'm definitely not, and they'll be really pissed off when they try to rob me and get 50 cents of that. Israel, of course, we know about the dangers of that. I mean, you can just having to live under at any time there could be rockets that coming at you, Molotov cocktails coming. Just the shredded nerves you must have to go through that and be on vacation when you're not used to that and then have to deal with that. There's not many places you're safe in Israel. In Egypt, just, I mean, it's become better, but there's still just, unfortunately a lot of bad people there. So it's just sad. Little sad commentary on places that we'd like to go to, countries it would be nice to see, but obviously things are holding you back. And most of it's terror or crime. So, lawyers. Rudy Giuliani. Did a great job when he was in New York. Pretty decent guy for the most part, but he's just got to go. Firstly, you can tell the guy's senile, dementia, I don't know, whatever you want to classify it as or say he has. He's not right. I mean, the way he talks, he's always talking over himself. He'll say something one day, say the next thing, then he's just talking about some of the stuff. You're like, what is this guy saying even? And this guy's like, he's like Michael Avetti. He's on Avenatti, I'm sorry. He's like on every show there is. Now, we knew that Avenatti was not a good lawyer. For Giuliani, I just think obviously he's past his time. Maybe he's just in it to one last hurrah on the TV show circuit. Who knows? He wants to get back that fame. I don't know. But everybody knows the rule of thumb that lawyers preach and agree as one. The big rule of thumb is keep your damn mouth shut. Shut up. Stop talking. Whether you did something wrong or not, just shut your trap and save it for court. The only thing you can do is expose yourself to more. And that's usually what these lawyers tell their clients all the time. A good client, a client that shuts up. And here you have Giuliani going on every TV show imaginable. Like, this guy can't find a camera or microphone. He's doing phone interviews, but he can't do enough. I mean, just shut your trap. I mean, holy cow, like, Jay Sekulow used to be on TV a pretty good amount, and since he's become Trump's lawyer, you see he's on TV a lot less because he doesn't want to talk about this stuff. He'll talk about general government stuff, but you just don't talk about your client and this and that. It's just stupidity. You're opening yourself up. It's like this whole nonsense about Trump going to meet with Mueller. Why? Mueller can meet with him all he wants to. All it is, there's somebody coming after you it's like a robber coming to your house and you're gonna be home and not have anything to protect you, and the robber's coming tonight. Are you okay with that? No, I'm not okay with that. Sorry, somebody's coming to my house to rob it. Either one, I won't be there, hopefully, or two, I will be there and be prepared, and it won't be a good night for that person. It makes no sense why Trump would want to meet with Mueller. All it is for Mueller to get his way for whatever it is. Like they say, you can indict a ham sandwich if you try. I mean, they did the same thing to Anderson Accounting. They put all those people in jail wrongly, and what happened? Oh, you can get an apology 2 years later. Thanks, your career's over. You've lost millions of dollars, and oh, too bad, my mistake, guys. Sorry. There you get like with Martha Stewart. I mean, yeah, it's just it makes no sense. If Mueller has something, he can charge away. He's got nothing. We know that. That's why he's desperate for the meeting. If you had something, you wouldn't care. The Koch brothers. So they're big. Liberals hate them so much, but yada, yada, yada. And they're like George Bush Republicans. They're not really Republicans if you look at their actions. The Koch brothers want to spend $40 million. $40 million to keep the borders open. So this is the big problem we have in this country. Everybody knows you lock your doors at night. You close your car. Because you need safety. Doesn't mean you don't trust everybody. Doesn't mean you're accusing your neighbor of being a crook. It's just in general you need safety, because all it takes is one bad person to ruin your life or ruin your possession, make your life more difficult, or end your life. We all know that. So that's why we need border security. Everybody knows, and everybody that knows that we need border security. Now, here's the Koch brothers and Democrat Party. And there's a lot of people that are like the Koch brothers. George Bush was the president like that. His brother's like that. We have Dems that want votes, and that's why they want these illegals here. No other reason. And you have Republicans who want that cheap labor. And of course, some Dems want the cheap labor, but the Republicans are the majority of people that want that cheap labor, and that's why they want the borders open. And so now you have the faction of the rest of us who want these borders closed and want to have a good process so we get quality people here. And this is the problem we have. The middle class is the one paying the bills for this. And not only financially, not only with the education of your kids, because your education's watered down, because teachers now have to make up for people that don't even have, not only they don't speak the language and whatnot, and they're brought into these classes, and now the teachers have to spend more time to try to help them get up to par while your kid doesn't get the time they need, and that's part of the reason why the education system's gone down. Extra students, and then extra students that are behind, And the middle class not only pays financially, but you pay, obviously, most of these crimes that are against people are against the middle class or the poor. These rich people are usually sheltered for this. They don't live in these communities. They're not the ones that are getting robbed for the most part and killed or raped or molested. It's the middle class and the lower class people. The poor. Shouldn't say lower class, not the appropriate poor, but you know what I'm saying. And so forth, that's why we always have this border problem, border struggle. Now, the big thing, you can see it clearly from the Guardian's dude Tom Gunn with all his tweets and stuff, and the Roman Polanskis of the world. You've seen it many a times. It's a war on children. It's a liberal war on children. There's no other way to say it. The unborns have no rights, right? They're just blobs of cells. Who cares? Who cares if you abort them, right? That's the war on children. Pedophiles. They're people too, right? Because love is love. That's the new little catchphrase that you've been hearing lately. There's some posters popping up in California with that little. Pedophile are peoples too, because love is love. war on children again. Roman Polanski, like I said, oh, he's such a great filmmaker. So what? He drugged up some 13-year-old girl. She really wanted it, right? Yeah. Whatever. No, the guy's a pedophile. No toys in your kids' meals, right? Another war on kids. A minor one at that, but still. No medical care for babies that are born alive through botched abortions. Failed abortion, kids born alive, and we know Obama voted for no aid for that kid. Let it sit and die. Let it suffer in pain. Disgusting. We wouldn't do that to a dog. We wouldn't do that to elderly people. But because it's a baby that was aborted, that survived, sorry, it could sit there with no medical care and just die. That's your war on kids, on children, right? The welfare state. The libs want the welfare state to happen so they could be the parent, making it easier for people to get divorced. There's no repercussion there. I don't need anybody to help support. I can just kick them out, and I can have the government help support me. Single parenting, like people don't care who they have sex with, they get knocked up, so what? They're going to get money for that baby. We all know that it's better for a kid to have two parents. Nobody's saying they can't have one parent. Of course, one good parent's better than two crappy parents. But obviously, just like if you have a car, you want to have 4 good tires on it. Doesn't mean you can't have one that's not so good and one that's but you still want to have the best chance you have to succeed. And for a kid, having 2 parents is the best chance for a kid to succeed. Doesn't mean it has to be that way, but still, you'd want to at least encourage that to be the case. Putting felons back on the street, right? The prisons aren't good enough for the rapists and murderers. You hear excuses like that, they're too full, or these people deserve another chance. This is a war on kids. Kids are affected, a lot by this. You're putting molesters back on the streets, rapists, rapist, molester, who do you think they attack? They attack the most vulnerable. If it's not the elderly, it's the children. The unions, the teachers. Now, I know people won't like this, but these people ask for money all the time, and almost none of it goes to the kids. It's for their raises, for this and that, and you look around the schools, there's no accountability. How come they never say, they say, we want to make it better for the kids, but they never say, let's hold ourselves accountable. You never hear that. If that's what you're trying to do, that would be the first thing you want. You want to be held accountable. If you want to make something better, if you want to make it better for the kids. And these unions don't. Unions out here, kind of the loose union that the teachers have, they got their money, and now all of a sudden they're fighting for the kids, supposedly. But they got their money. So much money in the schools are wasted. You don't ever hear them talk about that reform. They can reform that to make it better for the kids because the money's there. It's just misused. The unions, you have on the East Coast, some in New York, where they have rooms where there are people that are molesters, right? Touch students, still getting paid to sit in a room till their trial, which can't happen till they're going to postpone it as long as they can to get seniority, to get paid, to get that holiday pay, to get another year. People that have touched kids get paid to not even do, which obviously you don't want them teaching, but they're still getting paid. The unisex bathrooms. If you have kids, I have 4. It's hard enough to keep them safe everywhere you look. And then you bring them to bathrooms, and especially like I have a daughter. It's hard. That was always a big fear of mine. Like, if we have to go to the bath, now I either have to bring her into a guy's bathroom, not the most comfortable thing, or I have to let her go alone. And I think a girl's bathroom is actually safer than a boy's bathroom, just by what I've seen and heard. But still, to let her have to go in the bathroom alone is a scary enough thing, But the fact that now they don't care who goes in what bathroom, unisex bathroom or whatever bathroom, whatever I feel like today bathroom, sorry, that doesn't fly. That's another war on the kids. Telling children they can pick their sex at a later date. You're born, you're not a boy or a girl. You can be what you want. That's just a war on children. All it does is confuse children. I don't care what you believe your kid is or has about all that stuff. Why is your kid even put in that situation? You don't have to sit there and lecture your kid that he's a boy or she's a girl. You don't do that. They figure it out. They do what they want to. And as they get older, when sexuality comes into play, and it shouldn't at these little ages, then they will pick what they want to do, and that's fine with me. But to be pushing agendas on kids that are not even a year old, 1 year old, 2 year olds, 3 year olds, to tell them you can pick your sex when you want to and try to even go over that stuff, it's just filth. And it's a war on children. They don't want you to spank your children ever. If it feels good, do it. That's kind of the theory on these libs raising the kids. If it feels good, do it. Let them do it. Who cares? Let them do it. Let them be a kid. Don't spank it. So what? They did this. Oh, this and that. And then when they get older and they do something wrong, oh, it's because you got spanked. You got spanked, that's why you're acting out now. How about some accountability? It's a war on children. Do not have accountability. I know when I talk to my kids, some of the lessons that I teach them, they probably don't get a full grasp on it. I'm okay with that because as they get older, they will grow into that lesson. I want them to be questioning and thinking about that, or at least knowing he said this for years, or I heard that from my dad, I heard that from somebody else. It makes sense. That's what I want. I don't want to let my kids do whatever they want, and they're never going to get spanked no matter what they do. Now, yeah, there are people that go overboard that are ridiculous, that get pleasure out of it, or want to torture their kids with tools. Yeah, those people have problems. That has nothing to do with this. We're not talking anything about that. But you do need to control your kids. You do need to set standards. And if you don't, you're contributing to your kid not being successful. Trust me, kids with no rules, just like adults with no rules, don't make for a good society or a good person. That's just a war on kids when you don't enforce anything. Forcing the teaching of sex in schools at the young ages they do, giving out protection and all that stuff in schools. When kids come to counselors and they're pregnant and stuff, and not having a parent be involved in that, and sending kids to Planned Parenthood and stuff, that's just a war on kids. It's just not right. You know what? This is a parent's job. That's between the parent and kids. The parent needs to figure out how they're going to teach their kids about sex. And I know people always say, well, the parents aren't going to teach their kids this and that. And these parents aren't going to feed their kids. You know what? If somebody's that inept that they're not feeding their kid, they're not teaching their kid about it, they're not doing this, then maybe they should be put in jail. It's as simple as that, or the kid should be taken away and given to somebody else. It just makes so much. You can't parent for everything a kid needs through the government. I'm sorry. And to have people teaching their kids about sex, which who knows what their view is, and they're putting their personal view in probably, it's just not acceptable. It isn't. It's just a war on children in the schools. And unfortunately, schools are some of the biggest way kids get attacked these days. It's the war on children, I'm telling you. Whenever these liberals express concern for the children, they're just usually using it to expand their power, promote promiscuity, advance collectivism, and enlarge their income at the expense of the taxpayer. And that's what the war on children is. A way to get at your gut, your heart, your wallet, and to push this sick agenda that these people have. Think about it, and you'll see it all around you. Now, next we have UFC 227. This Saturday in LA, the Staples Center, they will have 2 belts on the line for the UFC, flyweight and the bantamweight belt. Both of these are rematches. So the card starts out with Thiago Santos versus Kevin Holland. Now, Thiago Santos is 17-6, and he's facing Kevin Holland, who's 13-3. For Holland, it's his first fight in the UFC. Both of these guys have won 4 out of their last 5 fights. For Santos, he's pretty much a puncher. His last fight, he lost to David Branch. And Kevin Holland, he fought in the Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. That's how he got to be into the UFC. That's how he got in there. And for Santos, the one thing you notice with him is he's been around the UFC for a while, and he does good when he's fighting the lower class people. Haha, lower class. I said it again, right? I shouldn't be saying lower class. You know what I mean. But the lower skilled or less successful fighters, he beats them. The guys he should beat, he beats them. But if you look at the names, when he fights a name, somebody you know, right? Uriah Hall, Musasi, David Branch, he loses. He lost all those fights. And here you have Kevin Holland, who just has a lot more tools than Santos has. And I see Kevin Holland, 3rd round submission, and he wins his UFC debut over Thiago Santos. Next fight, women's fight, you have Polyana Viana. She's 10-1 against JJ Aldrich, who's 6-2. Now, Polyana. Every time I think of Poly, like Polyesters was a club in Scottsdale a while back. Makes me think about that. I give a giggle. What they had shots or no, the drinks like the Ghostbuster, right? The Ghostbuster and other adult beverages there, you know. So, Polyana, she's from Brazil, and JJ Aldrich, she's from the U.S. And basically for Aldrich, what I noticed for her, most of her fights, when she goes to the decision, like 2/3 of her fights go to the decision. Where for Polyana, most of her fights are 40% KO, 60% submission. She's not a decision girl. So that's 2 things that are very different about them. Their reach is the same. Their leg reach, 1 inch difference for Polyana. She's a little bit longer legs. Strikes per minute, JJ has more, you know, but the accuracy, Polyana has really good accuracy, where JJ is not so much. And JJ absorbs more damage than Polyana. I think for Viana, she'll take the fight to the ground, and she'll start to pull away, kind of wearing JJ out, and a 2nd round TKO for Polyana. 3rd fight is Cub Swanson, who's 25-9, and he's fighting Renato Moicano. Interesting fight. Moicano's 12-1, and these guys, you know, for Moicano, he's not a KO guy at all. Submissions, decisions, you know, that's pretty much the way his fights end. For Cub Swanson, he can knock you out. I mean, over 40% of his fights are that way, 40% of decision, and he does have some submissions, 16%. Both guys have lost to Brian Ortega. You know, not shocking, Brian Ortega is really good, but just so they have a similar opponent. You know, Swanson, we know how he hits nasty, he hits hard. He loves those stand-up brawls. Definitely a game fighter. He's coming off a loss to Frankie Edgar. And Moicano, the thing is where these guys will match up is for Renato Moicano. He avoids stuff like that. He's definitely smart, and he'll know what Swanson's trying to do, and he's going to avoid it. He fought Jeremy Stevens, who I think is somewhat similar to Cub Swanson, and Moicano found a way to avoid Jeremy Stevens and win that fight. So Moicano, he's not going to let Swanson get into that rhythm and use what Swanson does best, is, you know, moving forward, his power, his attacking. I think Moicano will find a way to disrupt him and make it tough to where Swanson starts to chase him a little. And Swanson's done that before. And then basically is going to use his submission skills Moicano has. Because even if Swanson gets on top or whatnot, Moicano has good submission skills, so he'll use them to keep Swanson at bay. I think Moicano wins this fight, a unanimous decision. That's what I see for that one. Now, the co-main event. Demetrius Johnson, most title defenses, Mighty Mouse, against Henry Cejudo. Henry's 12-2, and Demetrius Johnson 27-2. They fought one time before. The last time DJ won, and for Henry, it was one of his first few mixed martial arts fights because he was an Olympic wrestler. For DJ, we know his speed and his timing are amazing, and that's what's the difference between him and a lot of other guys. There are guys that are quick, like Cub Swanson, who is he's quick, but Demetrius Johnson has that timing. He's quick, and he'll hit you at the right time to hit you before you're hitting him. He's quick and will move away from your shots, and then you're off balance, and then he will get you. He finds a way to just hit you with these little things using his speed and timing. They're impeccable. And that's why he hasn't lost at all at this division. Yeah. He hasn't lost once. The only time he lost is when he was up one division when they didn't have the flyweights. So for Demetrius Johnson, he will be fast like always. Henry, world-class grappling. Now, we've noticed in the last few fights, his boxing has gotten a lot better, which is good. I mean, definitely, because that's definitely something he needs. He's got to have some boxing to keep Demetrius Johnson honest. And he showed that he had the knockout power. Henry needs to keep on bullying Mighty Mouse Johnson, use his strength, try to slow him down, some early body shots. Some early body shots to slow him down just a bit and make him almost human. I see this going 5 rounds. I see Henry winning 2 of those rounds, and this will become the closest that anyone's been since John Dobson actually stumbled DJ. He will come close. But at the end, Mighty Mouse will win a split decision because he will do enough work and find a way to win enough rounds to keep the belt. And that'll be a really good fight. I think it would be just a really good fight. It might not have the explosion of other fights, especially like the fight after them, but it definitely will be an exciting fight to watch. Now, the main event, another rematch, is TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt. Now, TJ is 16-3, and Cody Garbrandt is 11-1. Cody's only loss being to TJ in their last fight. I mean, for Cody, he is very fast, and TJ is pretty fast. Cody has power, so does TJ. I mean, at that bantamweight, it's pretty good. Both these guys have pretty good power. Cody knocks out 82%, TJ 44%. TJ has submissions, and he's won a few by decision, and, same thing, Garbrandt's, won a few by decision. TJ has a little bit more reach, 2 inches reach, leg size, same. TJ lands more per minute. Cody, obviously, just a little bit more power. His accuracy is not as good as TJ's. And as we saw the first time, that fight could have been either way. Either guy could knock either one out. I mean, you saw Garbrandt almost had Dillashaw there. It was close. He got saved. And then Dillashaw came out and caught Garbrandt and put him out. So no surprise either way this fight goes. To be honest, these guys are very, very close. I mean, they both both definitely are home run hitters. TJ has more tools, as we know. Like I said, he gets some submission wins. He can submit you, so there's one more thing to watch out for. Cody has a great speed. But as the first time you saw, he slowed just slightly. And that's the thing here, is TJ's speed is very near Cody's. And if he slows a little, then they're on par. And that's what became a problem for Cody, where Cody's usually way faster than people. And that's how he picks them apart, because his speed is continued. And especially as he's picking them apart, his opponent gets slower. And then even if he's slowing down a little, his speed's still way ahead. And in this case, you saw the last one, Dillashaw actually weathered that storm, barely, but he did. And then he came back and got Garbrandt. So, like I said, Cody has great speed. And then he'll continue to slow a bit, I think, as it gets, into this cat fight that it's definitely going to be. And I see a third round KO for the winner, again, and still champ, TJ Dillashaw. Like I said, this fight could go either way. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But I just see Dillashaw has more tools, and he has ways to slow Garbrandt down, where Garbrandt doesn't have that. He has that speed. He has that cockiness. But I just think Dillashaw is just a step above. And if I'm wrong and Cody wins, hey, we can have a third fight out of this. It'll be definitely an exciting fight. It'll definitely be a very explosive fight. So this should be a good card. Hopefully, nobody gets hurt. Nobody comes in overweight. Nobody throws anything at a bus. Can we get people to watch out for Conor McGregor? Hopefully. We just hope. But you never know what can happen, because anything can happen in the UFC, right? Anything can happen. So let's see. What do we got on the horizon? That's our UFC, like I said. So next we move on. An independent congressional candidate in Oregon has let his hatred out for President Trump go beyond President Trump and capture his repulsive attack was on First Lady Melania Trump. Mark Roberts, who's running for Congress in Oregon's 2nd Congressional District. Now, isn't that supposed to be a peace state? He called Melania Trump a hoe bag and implied she's a prostitute who works by the hour. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable, right? Now, one, it's just stupid to say that when you're running for anything. And this guy got mad. What his tweet was, his response, was because the Republican incumbent Greg Walden, who has the seat right now, was telling someone that there are 39 fewer staffers dedicated to Melania than there was under Obama, I should say Michelle Obama. So it's just saying how many less staffers she used, and she actually works harder to accomplish more things. And, of course, that got this guy, Mark Roberts, in a tizzy, and he called the First Lady somebody who works by the hour, and a hoe bag. And he said think dirty, of course, in his little Twitter thing. That's weird. So the Trump derangement syndrome goes on and on and on. But what else can we expect out of this? Not much else but hatred and anger. Now, Russia, right? Russia. Collusion. Let that sink in a few times. Collusion. So they say Russian nationals, or any other, Russian nationals can easily influence the U.S. election. Now, that's true. That's what they want you to believe. And it's very true. They can easily influence. And they can do that by registering to vote in California. Now, there was a story of a lady who didn't even know that she was registered in San Francisco in 2012 when she was a 21-year-old Russian citizen living legally in the U.S. but ineligible to vote. She never registered for anything in her life. And she just became a U.S. citizen early last year. So it was news to her, and it showed that she was signed up as a Democrat in July of 2012. And then her registration was canceled in May of 2016 after, I guess, she found out about it, and she told election officials that she wasn't a citizen. Very interesting, right? So this lady didn't even know. She had no idea that she was registered to vote. And I'm sure they'll say it's an anomaly, but as we know, it happens a lot. Trust me, we've seen people get arrested for it. So now our question of the week. Everyone remembers Sips, right? Those little drink boxes. They had iced tea. They had other flavors. Really big. So now Sips come with a straw on the back, so you get maybe your iced tea and you're drinking Sips. Can they sell these legally in California, or are they illegal? That's something we'd like to know. Maybe our viewers can tell us and let us know. Let us know, because we don't know. But what if we want to go to California on vacation and get some Sips or some Capri Suns? Can I say that anymore? Capri Suns in California? Or would that be a crime too? I don't know. But you'll hopefully let me know. Now, there was a Raleigh man facing multiple sex crime charges involving young children. Francisco Cervantes Gutierrez, 37. He has 5 counts of indecent liberties with a child and 1 count of first-degree statutory sex. Warrants show the crimes are believed to have been occurred through 2017. He was arrested about 4 days ago. The sex crimes involved 2 children, one who was 10 years old and the other who was 8. Obviously, disgusting, pedophile. In addition to the child sex charges, the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration, and Customs Enforcement, ICE, has a detainer included with the warrants. According to the paperwork, Cervantes Gutierrez is a citizen of Mexico, and he is believed to be in the United States illegally. The government has requested that authorities contact ICE before Cervantes Gutierrez is released from custody. Now, what do we think is going to happen? Well, we know they're not going to turn him over to ICE. They're going to find a way to get this guy out. It's just a normal thing that's happening with all these sanctuary things. So now another question. We got through the straw question and stuff. And so we always hear about the Social Security running out of money stuff. Here's people that worked their whole life. The money was supposed to be put, but obviously, if you guys don't know, that's one of the ways that Clinton actually balanced the budget, is he took money that was Social Security and was just, when it was taken, obviously there were people that were receiving it. It was never actually put as an asset. And so that's how he actually balanced the budget. As he actually put the money as an asset, that this is what we're getting, and they put that as a plus instead of something that was put aside separately in that quote-unquote black box, like they said when they started Social Security. But my question is we always hear about Social Security is going to run out of money, which could be the case because we give it out to people who shouldn't get it, or they get way more, and it happens sometimes. I mean, people need money to live off of. I have no problem with that. Some of these people like Bill Gates or whatnot, the billionaires, they can forego the Social Security. Maybe that would even it out. But how come we never hear that welfare is running out of money? It's always, we can't cut welfare, we can't do this, we can't do that. Why isn't welfare ever running out of money? How come the people who work and earn money, they're running out, but these other people, who didn't work for this money or getting supported, whether it's, I know some people need help, but still, they're never running out of money for that. Now, here was a weird story about a California mom. I was reading this the other day. No, a mother of two died early Monday when she jumped out of a moving van traveling about 40 miles an hour on the California highway. She was 20 years old. She had two young kids, 4 and 9 months. So she was killed after suffering injuries when she opened the vehicle door, headed down Imperial Highway, and exited the car. So she was taken to the hospital and later died. So now, how would it, so far what you get out of the story is she just jumped out of a car and did she commit suicide? I mean, that's a rough way to do it. So that's what you got out of the first part of the story. Or there's more to it, you think. So there is more. So the two passengers told police that she was in the vehicle at 1:30 in the morning on Monday, and she jumped out while the car was in motion. Okay, weird. So the driver, who fled the scene, stopped the vehicle shortly after, and the two passengers got out. So now we got big problems here. So obviously there's some questions that we need to find out about to determine whether or not there's any criminal culpability in this case. Well, one, there has to be criminal culpability in this case. Firstly, even if this girl decided, I want to kill myself, let's say she didn't tell anybody, she just opened the door and jumped out. Number one is, you're driving that car. How do you not stop? How do you not stop, see if she's okay, call the police, the ambulance, whatever, That would be the first thing. The minute you take off, and then you let your passengers out, maybe they actually had some moral compass. But, there's got to be criminal culpability. So this lady's family was saying that she texted a family member before the incident saying she did not know the man driving the minivan, saw a bat, gloves, and tape in the vehicle. Police didn't confirm these details. So obviously not good. Obviously she's texting family members. It's unclear if drugs or alcohol were involved. I'm sure we will find out about that at a later time. But at the point of where the story came out, like I said, the autopsy will be the obvious thing. See if there were drugs and alcohol involved on her side, and then still for the driver's side, and the passengers. But they haven't even said what the relationship between this lady and the passengers and the driver were like. Did she know any of them? Did she know one of them, her friend? Was she dating somebody? Huge deal in the story, I think. Huge detail. But I mean, just for me, the fact that the driver didn't stop the car, this is not going to turn out well. I mean, obviously it didn't turn out well because this lady died in the first place, but if that's what her goal was, to commit suicide, it's one thing, but it's not going to turn out well. Obviously when you run off like that. So you've seen recently, ICE has been, ICE in Portland, the Portland police refused to help ICE agents who called 911. The police refused to respond to at least 2, not 1, but 2 911 emergency calls from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Employees inside their offices where violent protests were held, week-long demonstrations. Now, this whole thing drives me crazy. Number one, the police not responding. They're supposed to be, a team. The police, ICE, you're supposed to be law enforcement. You have each other's back. So ICE was saying that they understand that they have a different opinion with the president, with some of his policies, but they fail to see while targeting employees of ICE and leaving them vulnerable to violence, harassment, and even death furthers a legitimate government interest. The policies have created, a zone of terror and lawlessness, and ICE has asked that the police end the policy of not responding to calls for police services from ICE employees immediately. And they sent a letter to the mayor, and they want to avoid further litigation, but they are prepared to protect themselves, and they said they will sue if they need to. Unbelievable. I mean, it's supposed to be on the same team. How can you sit there with another law-abiding citizen, whether it's a police officer or a non-police officer, is getting attacked? I mean, that's a dereliction of duty. Anybody who stood down, they should be fired. Dereliction of duty, should be fired. You know that even if you don't agree with the policies, the people there are just employees like you. So, if, for instance, your police force has a policy that somebody else doesn't like, they should just sit there while you get killed by somebody. I mean, it's just wow. Not surprising and not shocking that we have such scuzzy places, but pretty sad. And here are the same people that would rip your police officer heads off because they don't care about the police. They've shown that, these protesters. I don't know why, and this is why Trump needs to just put Jeff Sessions aside or whoever. I'd say, get out of my way. I will take charge of this. That they need, oh my God, the cat's getting crazy. They need, right? Or I should say Trump, he needs to come in, take over, and say, anybody who starts violence is going to jail and will be charged with everything we can find. And you tell your police, ICE, whatever, to use full force. And that's why you hear these people saying they don't want these people to have tanks. You see, Obama took away some of the weapons that the police have to protect themselves because he didn't want them to be able to protect themselves. Because then you could send in more of these agitators and stuff, and the police stand down because they're scared. One, they don't have the tools to protect themselves, and two, they know if they touch anybody, they're going to get in trouble. Nope, sorry. We take them down, and they get put in jail. You have a right to protest. That's fine. Speak all you want. But when you're touching somebody, throwing something at somebody, endangering lives of officers or other citizens, blocking people's way to get to stuff, sorry. You're a danger to society, and you will be taken down and put in jail. And that's the way it should be. That's what Trump should say. No other words about it. Now, we have, big in the news was the 3D guns, 3D printers printing guns, blah, 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 blah. And people, again, some buffoon was yelling at Trump, said, you should be able to fix this. You said you were going to fix this. Yeah. Look, 3D guns, people who are not supposed to have guns try to get guns however they have. And would this be a way they try to get guns? Sure. But you could tell them to not get guns all they want. They're already breaking the law. They know that. And 3D guns, people talk about how they'll get through metal detectors. Firstly, there's barely any blueprints or whatnot for 3D guns that don't contain metal. You need the metal in there. If you're printing up a 3D gun and you have no metal in there, man, I mean, it's just not going to be a good day for you when you fire that. Chances are that thing's probably going to blow up in your face. Just saying. It is what it is. People try to find their way around stuff. Honestly, I'm sure 3D printed guns are probably going to be more expensive than buying a gun in the store, but it is what it is. Maybe one day the technology will be cheaper and it'll be more of a problem. We have the laws, and they violate them, they get arrested, that's it. Unfortunately, People will try to break laws no matter what's going on. But in general, most of these 3D guns will still have the metal and then get caught at detectors. And I mean, anybody who's going to go out and commit a crime, for the most part, is just going to buy a gun. It's probably cheaper and easier. I mean, half of the people that are criminal elements, or yeah, about half, the intelligence level isn't there to build guns. Now, there is a bunch of criminals whose intelligence level is there, but like I said, those are the people that are hard to get. But we'll just, continue on, find better ways. I mean, there's not much else you can do. We didn't invent the 3D printer, So, see, 22 illegals arrested for identity fraud schemes, stealing thousands in taxpayers' money. Anybody care about it? Probably not. It's just an excuse, right? All the alerts, oh, you're bagging on the alert. But this is what happened. We can't even control the people we have already in our country. And now we want more people that we can't control. So the 25 individuals who committed fraud, they were using Puerto Rican identities in an effort to gain government benefits. In some cases, even vote. Illegal voting. So 22 of the 25 that were charged were illegal aliens. So, man, we have 3 criminals in this country. No, yeah. What about the other 22, right? They're criminals as well. Sorry to tell you, just because there are 3 that were in this country doesn't make it right to 22. Some have been arrested before for dealing drugs, violent crimes, and yes, they've been deported before. I know. Shocking. Shocking. Now, what else we have today? Oh, we had the United Airlines. So they're providing free travel to illegal families to get to their next destination with dignity. So what about somebody whose relatives dies and they can't afford that flight? Do they get to fly with dignity? How about the veterans who come back from war and just want to get home? Do they get to fly free with dignity? Or the homeless Americans? They're sometimes hitchhiking on the side of the road and they just need gas money to get to here. Just gotta get home, gotta get home. Do they get to fly free with dignity? I know the answer is no, they don't. I love the word free as well. Now, what they mean is the paying customer is going to foot the bill. So you might as well call it government airlines, where they're giving this out for free because they're great humanitarian. At the end of the day, somebody else is paying for it. See? United Airlines is giving it out for free, but who's paying for it? Well, the customers. Customers who buy tickets are paying for it. So if you buy a ticket from United Airlines, you're paying a few extra bucks to pay for someone else's free flight so they can travel to their next destination, which was illegal, with dignity. Right? Dignity. You gotta remember that. Hey. Yeah, it's funny we have the Donald Trump, right? Treason, that's what we hear. Treason. Working with Russia. Now, JFK, he tried to pursue peace with Russia. And it was the same thing. They called him a traitor, a Russian stooge. It's the same smear campaign. They didn't care. They wanted to attack JFK, which back then I know you would think it's hard to believe because he was like the darling. But now, if he was, JFK would be thrown into a toilet bowl and attacked viciously. He would be considered a right-wing nut. That's what he'd be considered. What else was there, right? Let's see. So they're talking about the Facebook, right? They're talking about the Russian ads again. And somebody's buying ads or they're spending money to try to rig the election. Like, firstly, there's nothing on Facebook that makes me change. I'm sorry. I know it's so powerful, but there's really nothing on Facebook that's making me change the way I'm voting. Sorry. But what they were saying from the last time, like if you looked at some of the indictments that Mueller handed out, the Russians spent $46,000 to try to rig the election through Facebook ads. So Trump and Clinton together spent $81 million, even a little bit more. It's probably close to 90 on online ads in 2016. And somehow this 46,000 affected the election? Come on, it's embarrassing. Let's have a little respect for ourselves. It's embarrassing. Remember, no serious person out there would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections, in part because they're so decentralized. There is no evidence that that has happened in the past, or that there are instances in which that will happen this time. That came from none other than Barack Obama himself. Now, personally, as usual, I don't agree with Barack Obama, because I think elections can be rigged. There are multiple ways. One, they can be rigged by, well, people who shouldn't vote voting. That happens a lot. Look at towns that are opening up to illegal aliens. They shouldn't be voting, right? People could be voting twice. People who aren't allowed to vote are getting registered, and somebody else is voting for them because we have no ID. That's one way. Number two is, who's in charge of the voting machines? And I'll let you look this one up. It is a famous quote that I might botch a little, but it's not who votes that's important. It's who counts the votes that's important. So you got to think about that. Who's in charge of those machines? You know, just saying, you never know. You never know. And so I think that's about it. If I start anything else, I won't finish it. It is the last show for July 31st. Hopefully everybody has a safe week. Hopefully a bunch of you get to watch the UFC this weekend and get some enjoyment out of that. A lot of last free weekend here where I'm at in Arizona. A lot of the kids go back to school on Monday, although I have one that goes to school on Thursday, but the majority of people are in school on Monday, and hopefully they enjoyed their summer. Everyone have a safe week. Thank you again for tuning in to the reality check, and we'll see you next time.